Yeah, it's CC, CEO. Wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder. I can teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black on firm, but we ain't all black.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Constance Carter, and I am here tonight. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. Well, let's get started. Well, before we get started, I want to make sure that you are subscribing to Fly Nubian Queen TV on YouTube and on Instagram and on Facebook, right? So I want you to take a second and I want you to go over to YouTube and I want you to hit the subscribe button. Right. And also, I want you to hit the notifications button because every time we come live, especially me, but every time we come live on Fly Nubian Queen, I want to make sure that you guys are getting notified. We have all kind of great content and great information for you guys. And so I want to make sure that you are getting everything that we can give you. And tonight we're going to talk about something that is, extremely close to my heart. But for all the queens out there, any queens in the house, hey, Brandy, all the queens. Any queens in the house, queens checking in. Check in, queens. Where you at? Where you from? Are you from Cali? Are you from Brooklyn? Are you from across the pond? Because we have people who are from all over the world that tune in every night that like to talk back to us and talk black to us from all over the world. And so where you checking in from, queens? Queens, where you checking in from? Let me know. Wherever you checking in from, what I want you to do is I want you to text the word queens to 31996. So that you get all the latest updates on what's going on with Fly Nubian Queen, because guess what? We got so much great information and great content that we want to share with you, and special pricing and special offerings out there for all of you guys out there. We want to make sure that you guys have everything you need. Then I want you to go over to Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter. That just happens to be me, y'all. Nobody works harder than Constance Carter. Hey, Siobhan, she's from New Jersey. And I want to make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, because I not only have stuff that I talk about with Fly Nubian Queen, but I also have just a plethora of information to help you. Everything that I talk about on Fly Nubian Queen is really about how to better you and how you can live your best life, whether it's building wealth, creating a business, creating generational wealth for your children and your children's children. That's what I'm all about, is how you can live your best life, but not only how you can live your best life, but how you could effectuate change for other people. Because it's not just about you doing well. It's not just about you being great, but how many people can you affect by doing the same? So I want you to go to Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter on Facebook. I want you to go to Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter on YouTube. And I want you to follow and I want you to subscribe to those channels. Then I want you to head on over to Instagram real quick. Just get on your phones real quick and go to Instagram and go follow me on I Am Constance Carter. I got so much good information. But, I also do Q&As with Fly Nubian Queen every week on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific and 8 o'clock Eastern. I do a Q&A right before I come on here on Tuesdays. I just did one today and I talked about credit. It was really phenomenal. And I'm doing that for you. I've partnered with Fly Nubian Queen and Dr. Boyce Watkins so that I can bring you. Oh, let me push this down so y'all can see my face. So I can give you all the great content and the great information, because here's the thing. I want you to learn how to build your business. I want you to learn how to build your credit. I want you to learn how to do whatever it is that you do. And I've offered my services. Now I charge for coaching. I charge $2,000 a month for coaching, but I've offered this in partnership with Dr. Boyce Watkins and Fly Nubian Queen to offer this to you for nowhere near $2,000 a month. So I'm dedicating my time because I want to help and build the village and help and build the community. So every Tuesday I do a Q&A. So make sure you go to ConstanceCarterVIP.com and subscribe so that you can get on the Q&A session. All right. So you guys know, for some of you have been here before. Some of you don't know who I am. I own the largest African-American owned real estate firm in California. I own one of the largest co-working spaces in Sacramento. I'm an investor and I invest in a lot of things, but one of the most important things in my life is being a mother. The single most important thing in my life, no matter what I do, the single most important thing in my life is being a mom. That's it. That's everything. I got 4 beautiful, wonderful, and amazing children that I'm so super proud of. They are everything to me. Everything I do, every accomplishment that I make, everything, as hard as I work, it's all for my kids. And with this pandemic going on, like I have some kids that, I have 4 kids. Some of my kids are doing okay. And some of my kids are struggling, really struggling during this pandemic. And I know I'm not alone. And I really want to be able to help and support my kids that are struggling. And I don't know the answers. And so I want to just bring my son, my daughter, and a couple of my friends and their kids. And I got a cousin coming on here. I want to bring them all on. Come on, son, come over here. I want to bring them all on, and I want to have a conversation about what's going on in this pandemic and where they are. This is my son, my middle son. This is my little middle, Kyron. It's my baby, my little middle. I love you, baby. He's like, yeah, trying to be cool. But I want to not only talk to him, and I want to talk to some other folks and just kind of talk about their experience and what's going on during the pandemic, because this has been a struggle, and I really don't know how to support my kids as good as I think that they need to be supported. So I need help. All right. So come on, you guys, let's bring them all on. Let's bring on Kyle and Kason and Sante and Angela and Ty. Let's bring them all on and let's have a conversation about what's going on in their households. Because I think that the conversation needs to be had. Because what I'm seeing, you guys, is I've seen the suicide rate is a lot higher, and it's been on the pandemic. I read a couple, like 2 different instances right here in Stockton. I'm in Stockton and in Lodi, where some kids have killed themselves because of isolation. I know that the failure rate, the high school the failure rate, not just the high school failure rate, it has increased significantly because of the pandemic. And my son is a freshman in high school, brand new high school, first year in high school that none of my other kids went to. And I just am totally like a fish out of water with helping him and supporting him. And so we've just been having a really rough time trying to get adjusted. This is his first year in high school. So I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to Ty. Ty, how are your kids doing in this pandemic right now?
Well, it's a struggle every single day. From the beginning, they liked it because it was something different. Mm-hmm. But it's a struggle, and I'll let them talk. How do you like the online schooling compared to school?
Well, I think schools, like regular schools, better because it's less distracting.
Yeah.
And the teachers
how is it distracting?
Well, sometimes the doorbell rings. Sometimes the mom gets phone calls when she's working. Mm-hmm. I can't think as well as
you do at school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now she's in the 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm scared about is she's in the 6th and he's in the 8th. So what I'm scared about is they're both of them are in like a transition. So she's about to go to junior high, and I'm scared for her to start junior high, and that's the most important start of prepping for high school. So I'm scared for her to go to junior high with struggles. And then with him, he's going to high school next year. And right now for both of them, it's a struggle. Mm-hmm. But that's just my opinion. How do you like online school?
I liked it at first. Yeah, I liked it at first. It's very distracting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People be texting.
Is it hard to focus?
Mm-hmm.
Are you having a hard time like keeping up with your classes and your teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Kason?
Yeah, I got a real hard time with that. It's kind of hard to pay attention.
Yeah. Why do you think it's hard to pay attention?
It's like you're not staring at the teacher, you're staring at the screen. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Tell her what grade you're in, Casey.
I'm in 6th grade.
Okay. And then what about you, Zoe? What grade are you in?
I'm a junior in 11th grade.
How's it been for you?
So personally,
We can talk up a little bit because we can't hear.
Okay. So the first couple of weeks, I was doing online, and I figured out real soon that I just couldn't do it. There was no social interaction. It was hard for me to focus because I have ADHD, and I love seeing stuff moving, and it was just really hard for me to focus. So I'm in person now at school, so it's much easier.
You're in Texas, so they have in-person school.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just wanted to add to that also. that, like the other young lady was saying, her daughter's in the 6th grade. Kason is also in the 6th grade, which I'm afraid of the transition as well, because he started school virtual. So in Texas, for us, 6th grade is middle school. So he went from elementary, now he's in middle school, but he's never gone to the school to have to do the whole changing of classes and teachers. And now he's in a huge school. So when they go back, he doesn't know the school. He's at school with 8th graders and 7th graders, and this is going to be completely new for him.
Yeah.
So he'll go from a transition to a whole new transition.
Yeah. Yeah. What about for you, Gabby? Because you're a senior in high school, right? So how's that been for you?
Yeah, just like other kids, it is a struggle. You know, in the beginning it was kind of easy, because towards the end of last year we had kind of started virtual learning,
Mm-hmm.
and moving on into this year, it was easy at first, but as time has gone by, it's December, I have less and less motivation to do stuff. I feel like the separation between school and home was pivotal, because if I'm at home all the time, in my mind, it's hard to switch, hey, now it's time for school. And then, oh, now I'm at home to relax. They've kind of just merged together. So when I do go to school, I'm kind of in this relax mode, and nothing in my head is telling me, hey, it's time for school. Hey, I should do my work. I'm just constantly thinking, oh, I'm relaxing. I could put on Netflix while I'm in class and things like that.
Tell them your background, that you're AP, and she's AP student, all A's, and for her to say something like that, it was hard for me, because she's always been motivated, self-driven, and I see a difference. I see a difference in her drive. I see a difference in the things that she wants to do, and then the social part of it. Her friends, not being around her friends, that really affects her. She has 2 brothers at home, so she needs, the girl time. And I see it even in her temperament. And she shared with me that some of the things that she has been dealing with. You mind if I share it?
Yeah.
She expressed to me that she had been dealing with depression. And my daughter is a very pleasant, always, a joy to have around. You hear how she talks. She lights up the room. So to see her say, or hear her say, I'm going through depression, and at the extent of, I was sitting on the couch and I couldn't move for 30 minutes because I was so depressed. I was so in my head. Wow. It paralyzed me. That hurt me to my core. And so, yeah, it and it was fun for them. Oh man, I don't have to go to school, and to me, I was like, okay, they're going back. At least she'll have her senior year. She won't miss out. And lo and behold, here we are in December. And it's hard.
We were just thinking it was just going to be a couple of months, last couple of months of school. Hey, look, summer starts early, but then it extended, and here we are. Kyron, how's it been for you, son?
It's been it's been hard because I don't really have motivation, because I'm like at home, and it's away from everybody. It's away from school, like actual people, and I'm just staring at a screen. And it gives me less motivation to actually do school, and I can't really focus in class. It's hard to focus because there's a lot of distractions around the house.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, like, the distractions, and that's kind of the recurring theme, right? Is hard to focus because of the distractions, and so it's easy to kind of get in that, like, well, I really could go to sleep, or I really could just kind of scroll through my phone while we're in class. Like, I really, do I really, you kind of do other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my daughter, she's a senior in college. And this is her last year in college, which is supposed to be like the best year of her life. and she has to spend her last year in college online. And I made a mistake buying her a condo her senior year because she actually could be doing her schoolwork from home, but she's actually in Virginia right now. And so, how's that been for you, Kai?
It has been extremely depressing because, like, here I am, a senior in college. I go to Hampton University, and we're like planning on doing a whole bunch of stuff senior year. I don't know about like other schools, but I know at my specific HBCU, seniors have their own activities. Like, we have senior ball, we have senior week, we have homecoming, spring fest, all of those. All of those are completely gone. I waited 3 years for that. And well, I went to school to go to school, of course. But, you know, like when you're a senior, like that's all your 3.5 years. You just been looking forward to that. And then it's like, it's been completely stripped from us. And our school like recently released that, well, actually it was pretty early, like early October. They were released that we won't be able to come back for the spring semester. So it's like my whole complete senior year is going to be online. It's like, you know, completely depressing. And it's been really hard for my friends and stuff as well, because when COVID first started, like we all thought it was just going to be like a spring break, you know? And so like people left their stuff on campus. We weren't allowed to come back. And still to this day, I have friends who still have their clothes on campus and it's already December. And so people aren't able to get their stuff. Like the transition has been definitely very, very rough. And like with classes and things, it's definitely been a lot harder to concentrate, but also it's kind of been easy on, you know, the whole grade spectrum, because, you know, since it's online, you know, it's been a lot more helpful. But other than that, like, if you get what I'm saying, other than that, it's like I really wish that we just were back on campus, like with the study groups and all that type of stuff, being with people. Because yeah, it was just depressing being by myself, not being around people, and like, yeah.
So let's talk about the isolation, guys, because, you know, with Gabby, you know, you said you suffered from depression. Son, do you feel like you suffered from depression? You feel like you've been depressed? No, haven't been depressed. Okay. What about any of the other kids? Do you guys feel like you've been suffered from any sort of depression during this pandemic? Kai, you have? Anyone else?
No.
Who's that? Zoe? Let's talk about it. What has that been like for you?
So I was diagnosed with depression around 8th grade. And so recently my dad has passed away. And so it's been really hard for me with also the online. And basically I live off of other people's energy. And so when I'm not around people basically doing online, I'm just depressed. Sometimes for 5 days straight, I wouldn't get out of bed. It was terrible.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So you need that interaction. Yeah. So she needs that social interaction because staying home, it just made it very difficult for her.
Yeah, but you're back in school though, right, Zoe? Thank God. But let's talk about that, because I know, son, you said you weren't depressed, but I think, you know, you not, you know, clinically depressed, but you have like felt sad because you're not able to interact with your friends. You felt lonely because you haven't been able to interact with your friends. How does being isolated make you feel?
Well, it feels disappointing because I wasn't really able to go to school, and it's a new school. I'm not really able to go there and meet new people and have interactions at school because, you know, we're isolated. So it was really disappointing.
It was disappointing. What about for the Grady kids, or what's y'all last name?
The Moores
kids. Okay, I'm sorry, the Moore kids. How have you guys like suffered from any kind of depression, or have you guys been sad at the fact that you have to be home?
Well, I don't think I've suffered for any. I mean, I haven't really thought about it, but I've never really felt sad during this pandemic and stuff.
Yeah. What about you? No, not at all. Mm-mm. So let's talk about this. Who has had more time, or how many parents? Let me ask the parents. How many parents have noticed an uptick in the amount of video gaming from your children during this pandemic?
Yes.
How many people, and even folks who are looking, because there are hundreds of people online looking right now. How many people out that have kids? How many of you are seeing more kids? Like my kids are sneaking on the games at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I know it ain't just my kids because they playing with other kids. So it ain't just my kids because other people's kids playing too. How many people have seen an uptick of their kids playing the game, and how has that affected? How do you think that's affected them socially, them playing the games all the time?
That's a replacement, in my opinion, for it.
The social aspect?
Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how to feel about it. Like during school, he won't play it while, he's in the 8th grade now. So he plays it during school, but not while he's in class, if that makes any sense. So he does it like at lunches and breaks and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm not really sure how to feel about that because in my opinion, I don't know. It's like it replaces it, but I don't want that to be like a comfort zone for him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I just don't know what to do.
So that's for him. So does she have anything that's replacing the social aspect?
In my opinion, yeah. The same thing. Roblox.
Oh, Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Talk to your friends on it. No, she's a little bit more he's social too. He gets out the house more. He goes out and play and stuff like that. The positive part about the pandemic is that before the pandemic, he wouldn't go out and meet anybody because we're new to this neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And now he has a lot more friends here in this neighborhood. He actually found out that he has kids in the neighborhood that he goes to school with. So he goes out more because he's a social kind of kid. Brea, she's social, but she's only social with certain people. Mm. And she has that one friend and that's all she needs. That's just her. So she talks to her friends every day, whether it be on Roblox or on the phone or whatever. Mm-hmm. But what do you feel you're playing the game more?
Yeah.
Before, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Sante, does Kaysen play? Sante? I can't hear you.
Sorry. They had to work this thing for me. No, Kaysen doesn't play the game a lot. That would be my senior in high school. He plays the game more. Kaysen YouTubes a lot. But the things that he looks up information and then comes and tries to challenge us with the information. So he's kind of a different kid in that aspect. But I have noticed that he'll have his class screen up and he'll have his YouTube up.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I've noticed. Not so much gaming, but he's kind of trying to do dual duties here.
Yeah. So one of my concerns is, and I'm gonna let anybody talk. One of my concerns is that, like, what's gonna happen when they go back to school? And I know Zoe, you're back at school, but I think everybody else is still out. How are they gonna be able to transition from now going on a year being at home, chilling, being able to roll out of bed? And because I know my mom was coming over in the morning, cursing everybody out, telling them to get up, get your behind up. We ain't gonna be doing class. What she do? You ain't gonna be doing class laying up in this bed. Get up, sit at the desk. And I'm a little bit more relaxed in terms of allowing them to kind of do school in the bed. But what do you think the transition is going to be like for them? Are they having to go back and have that discipline and have that structure? Because right now they're kind of chilling. Do you think it's going to be an issue?
My kids are going to run and not walk. They want to go back to school so bad.
Yeah.
So
somebody said something about their kids were faced with online bullying. Has anybody dealt with that? Any of those issues, like online bullying or anything like that? No. So what do you see, Gabby, as your biggest challenge? kids were faced with like online bullying. Has anybody?
Yeah.
So is that you, Kai? What do you think the biggest challenge you're facing during this pandemic?
I think the biggest challenge is just trying to not get used to it, but just try to embrace it. Because I see a lot of people, they talk about coping or how to cope in these times, but we forget that nobody's been through this. So it's kind of hard for parents to advise their children, much less children know what to do. And, you know, I might have some online classes next year in college, but, you know, there's still a chance that, you know, I'd be on campus. But, you know, I'm currently just at home all day. And, you know, not having anything to really do during the day, it really affects, you know, how I feel or when I do things, if I do them.
That motivation, I think a lot, you know, because there needs to be a line. And everybody learns differently. You know, I have two other boys who are perfectly fine. They're able to get up and do it, whatever. This son right here, he's been struggling because he what did you tell me that time? You know, it's just hard for me to follow. It's hard for me to keep up. I don't really understand what the teacher's talking about, right? I don't really, you know, and when I ask questions, or what I'll do is I'll go and look on the internet to try to find the answers, and then I end up giving up, and then I feel bad because I gave up. You know, it's just that cycle of, and some need a little bit more hands-on. And this is a new school. You know, he's a freshman now. I don't know anything about the school. None of my kids went to this school. And so for me, just trying to give him that support that he needs so that he can, but I'm feeling like, okay, now, you know, he's gotten some bad grades. He's a freshman. This counts for college. What are we going to do? So I'm at a loss in how I can support him, because like one of the things for you is like for the first month, we didn't know he had a 0 period. We didn't know for the first month. So he was in, what was that? PE. So when we get his progress report, he has an F in PE. Nobody tells us, we get nothing. So now he has an F in PE the first semester because we didn't even know he had a 0 period. Like how, and are they, they're not going to take that off. So now he's in here with an F on his permanent record, and there's nothing that we can do. And so that's really the frustrating part for me, is because just like Gabby said, we haven't been in this pandemic before. We don't really know how to address it. We don't really have the proper support. I have been the biggest advocate for my children, because I believe you have to be an advocate for your children. Nobody's going to advocate for your children the way their parents are. But I really don't know how to advocate for them in this environment. I feel horrible about it, you know? So for the parents out there that are online, there's tons of comments. One of the things that Franquelle said, I want to put that on the screen. She said, I have 4 kids in college and a freshman in high school. The son at Idaho is a football player, so they have to stay in a bubble. He's a freshman, not used to being away from family, so I've been trying to keep him encouraged. My daughter's at San Jose State. She's in her senior year. She also there for track and field. She also supposed to stay in a bubble. And my last son's in Kansas. He just finished school, and he also plays football, but everything has caused training and how he can be home and out. Monique said, I left my job to be home to assure she's sticking to her routine. I just signed her up for Hub School, which is online school in the school. She needs structure of being in school. And that's the thing about it, is that structure is completely gone. No structure. Sante?
We kind of were all discussing it, and I, as a parent, think Kaysen's, and this is my niece Zoe, by the way, you guys, but I think Kaysen, his biggest struggle to me is being online all day and then having to stay online to finish his homework. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get that you have to, versus going to school. So you're an in-school learner. When you get out of school, you have this little bit of time when you get out of school to come home, get a snack, do your homework. And I'm like, no, get this done so that you're not up until 10 o'clock at night trying to finish your homework. So that's kind of where my struggle is, because he doesn't get, let's get this done. He's like, I'm tired of being on the computer. But I'm like, no, let's get this work done and knock it out. However, he says, what's your biggest struggle, Kason?
Paying attention, because like it was hard enough face to face, but now that I got a screen, I got like a game to right of me and a phone on the left of me. Like,
so that's his thing. And when he said that, when he told me that was his biggest struggle, he said, like, I didn't even pay attention to the question she just asked. He was talking about what you just said. He was like, I didn't even know what she just asked, because he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of discussing that. Zoe, did you have anything to add?
not really.
Okay. So I just wanted to say that's our biggest struggle.
What about for the rest of the parents? What's your biggest struggle? So Angela, what's your biggest struggle with dealing with what Gabby's going through?
You know, my biggest struggle is the fact that she's Gabby was very active. She was in choir, she was in academic decathlon, and she thrived on that. Her brothers were athletic. Gabby was my scholar, and she went out for that. So when you don't have that ability and, you know, that pat on the back, that attaboy coming home with all of these trophies and medals, it's like, I don't want to say that defines her, but it does. That's accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's accomplishments. And now you go from all of that choir. And we were talking, I was like, man, Gabby, you've been in choir for 4 years. When you're a senior in choir, they do all kind of special events. You lead songs, they give you your roses. So they're cheated out of that. And the one thing, when Marcus was younger, I did homeschooling with him. And this is even different than homeschooling, because with homeschooling, you still have the community. You can come together, the other kids in the school. You just went to school at home, but then they had a lot of social events for all the kids that were homeschooled. So there's no social even outside, because social distancing, because kids are not being able, her best friend, she can't go over other people's homes. So there's no break from them. They can't be like, okay, I'm at school, now let me go to my friend's house, or let's go here. There's nothing. They're confined.
Yeah.
And that, you know, the one thing I will say, I will put a plus spin on it, that she and I have been doing other things like working out. So that's been a blessing. It's like, it couldn't have happened at a better time. Like, let's exercise our brain, let's do this. So I think that kind of focused off on the confinement of being at home. So I would like to, you know, there has to be other things that we can involve our kid, but that's my struggle, is that social life. And that, you know, what that baby said about all this technology, that is sad. They have the TV, they have the phone, they have the computer. I mean, and man, we're like,
distraction.
That is poor. Yeah. Like what we, you know, go outside and play, that it's really up to technology to raise our children. And that's really sad. That's a sad state of affairs. It really is.
And we have to live with whatever the results are based on this experiment, right? We have to live with whatever they give us. And that's the sad part that I feel horrible about for my kids. Is like, okay, if they don't do well, then what? It is what it is. Or, I mean, are they going to give them some leeway for having to do this online? Like, what's going to happen? So, Kyle, what would you say your biggest challenge is, being, you know, that you're 3,000 miles away from home and then you don't have school?
So yeah, that's one thing I also wanted to mention on that, is because when the pandemic first started, so when it started in March, I was still a junior and lived in a completely different situation. I didn't live in this house. I actually lived in a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. So what I focused on for like social activities was the activities that were going on at school and stuff like that. Like, I was involved in so many organizations, so many clubs. And so that was what kept me active. But then when the pandemic started, I was just by myself, no roommate, just me in a 1-bedroom apartment. And it took a toll on like me mentally, because you know what they say, like an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So like it was just me and my thoughts all day, every day, and my thoughts can be very detrimental. And so like it caused me to go into a little funk, a little depression, because it was just me, like me by myself, me. And so like that really was like one of my biggest struggles like at the time. And then eventually, you know, now I live here with my roommate. So even though we don't talk every day, we talk here and now, like now and then, but you know, everybody like needs that person that they can talk to, you know, like, and when the pandemic first started, I didn't have that. It was just me, you know. And of course I have my mom. My mom's like my only friend, but you know, I have my mom, and my mom is very busy. She's Constance Carter, so I don't get to talk to her all the time. So it's just like,
you want to talk to me every single day. Oh my God. Like all day.
Anyway, so it's just like not being able to talk to my mom and being 3,000 miles away. And then my brothers think they're too cool for school for me. So it's like, you know, that kind of took a toll on me a little bit, because I wish I had like that person, like those people to be able to talk to. But now like I'm okay now. I'm fine. I have like, you know, my roommate, and I get to talk to my mom a little bit more. And I got more occupied by doing things online and like you know, to get me more active and stuff like that. Like I've started a little business, started something that makes me active. But at first it was just, it was just a struggle. I had to find something for myself to do.
So you would say the isolation really kind of caused like a depression for you, because everything that you were doing stripped all at once. Now you're done and you have nothing, and you're home by yourself and you have nobody. And
all my friends went back home. So it was just me and Hampton. It was, Yeah,
that's tough. Mm-hmm. What about more kids? What would you say, and Ty, what would you say is the biggest challenge for you?
Well, for me as a mom, what's frustrating is knowing that my kids are struggling and I can't do anything about it. I am a parent that's a little bit controlling when it comes to my kids and their education. I'm a hover. And so it's like I reach out to the teachers, even asking them, hey, are you able to tutor my baby? You know, they're overwhelmed themselves. They're out of school. They don't want to do anything else. They don't want to do any more teaching or tutoring or whatever. You know, they're at wits' end themselves. So as a parent's perspective, it's hard for me because there's nothing that I can do, it seems. You know, I've reached out to the teachers, the principal, the vice principals, and I had them signed up for Silver Learning Center, my son, and we can't go there anymore. So it's like there's nothing that we can do. You know.
So listen, you guys, this is such an important conversation because a lot of us are struggling with the same thing. There are some, you know, states that are allowing their kids to go to school. Where our kids can't go to school. But this is such an important conversation that it needs to be shared. So make sure tag folks who need to hear this. Take a minute right now to share this out with everybody, because we need to be having conversations with our kids. Our kids are struggling. And if we're not taking the time, you may be going to work. You may have to go to work on Zoom every day. You might take a moment to see where your kids are mentally, because you don't know if they're struggling, with some kind of depression. My boys, they don't talk. They just play the game. So, unless I'm asking them questions, they're not going to tell me. And so make sure you are like taking the time out to say, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? What's going on? And just like I was saying, everybody learns differently. Some people are, they can learn, what's that, kinesthetic learners. Some people are visual learners. Some people learn by hearing. Everybody learns differently. And a lot of people can't thrive in this Zoom environment. Mm-hmm. So then what do you do? And then, there's really no blueprint for this. There's no support from the schools and the teachers. From where I'm standing, there's no support. So what can we do to be proactive to make sure that our kids are able to thrive? Or is this just a wash? Is 2020 just a wash for you? What do you think, Anna?
It feels like that.
Hey, we're almost there. I'm looking at December with my fingers crossed, like, you know what? Let's cross this line and see what happens next year. Yeah, I mean, you just don't walk but run across that finish line,
What,
Don't even look
what do you
back.
think, Ty?
Yeah, exactly. Just make it alive. Let's just get past it to survive so we can start fresh next year. That's the best thing we can do.
What do you think, Sante?
So what we plan to do? We've had this conversation with Kason and with Christian, my oldest son. Kason is going
When is
back
he
to
going
school. Well, so here in Texas, they have they'll send an email and say, hey, is your child going to remain a virtual learner, or are they going to, go to school? So we're just waiting on that email to come out for the next round. Tough decision, because we receive emails every day like, hey, we're notifying you about this COVID, whatever. But every kid learns differently, and we understand that. And in order for him to be successful, we have to do what we got to do so that he can grow.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing, right now, the failure rate is at an all-time high. So, when I filed bankruptcy 9 years ago, everybody was filing bankruptcy, so I didn't feel as bad. I can't say the same thing about, the failure rate with school, because these are my kids, but it is at an all-time high. And it's even more so with African Americans than our white counterparts. And it's not because we're dumber, it's because we don't have access to the same resources. It's because a lot of times when we reach out to the schools aren't giving us the same help that they're giving our white counterparts. And it just is what it is. It's not about a race card. It's about our experience. And so, it's our responsibility as parents to be more proactive. And so we just have to figure out how, what we need to do in order to make sure that our kids are successful. I feel like my hands are tied. I feel like I'm just lost. I need help. So if anybody has suggestions for me and how I can better, support my kids, like I'm all ears, because I feel like I don't even know what to do. And I'm normally the person with that has the answers to the questions. I feel like I don't feel like I have it. I mean, what do you think, son? Where are you at with this?
I feel like, I don't know. Feel about what?
What do you feel about where we are? Like, what's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge is probably finding motivation to get up and do school and get out of bed and do all my work, because it's I have more motivation around actual people, and finding being isolated, it's hard, because I'm not around people, not motivated. Teachers aren't motivated, and that makes it all harder for school.
Yeah, I mean, and my son was, he was a high honor kid a couple of years ago, and to go from this to like F's, oh my God, it's devastating. It's so devastating. So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and another thing is, even if they did pass all of our kids, because that's what they did last year.
Mhm.
A lot of the kids, they were just like, just give them 8,
Yeah.
But the problem with that is when they do return back to school, they're going to be so behind and expect it to be, okay, you're back in class, go ahead and excel. But no, it's pretty much they missed a year almost. You know what I mean? With learning online, they missed a year. And then when they go back, it's gonna be okay. I should be, if like your son, I'm a 9th grader, but pretty much missed the 9th grade. When he goes in the 10th grade, he's going to be expected to learn. Be mentally as a 10th grader. And I really hope that the schools do take that and factor that in, and make sure that they have steps to it to bring in children in gradually and not just say, okay, you're in the grade you're supposed to be in. Here you go.
I pray they do. I really pray they do. That's my biggest concern is, like, are they going to take into consideration what we're going through as they're as they're looking, especially in college. Like when they look at college, are you going to look at 2020? Are you going to weigh 2020 heavily? Is that what's going to happen? So I need to know, because they just need to throw 2020 out. Don't even count that ish. Done, right? Because it shouldn't. They got to just throw it off the map. And oh, by the way, James, this isn't Warren Jr. This is Kyron. All my kids, even my 12-year-old, they all have very, very deep voices. So I just want to let you know, this is Kyron, not Warren. Anyway, so before we get off this, does anybody else have anything they want to add to the conversation? Absolutely, Sante.
So I just wanted to say real quick, because I do have a son that's a senior, there are some benefits to this for him, because some colleges we found aren't worried about application fees, SAT scores, ACT scores, like they're kind of waiving a lot of these things. So I said, your class is probably at kind of a good point, a better stance than my daughter was, because they were looking at SATs and ACTs and your entry exams and things like that. And now they're kind of like, okay, you know what? We're not even looking at that.
Oh,
what's your GPA? Yeah. So there are a lot of things that they are, see, somebody said they eliminated the ACT. So, I mean, there are some benefits, but we're still dealing with this.
Yeah. The biggest thing is the social aspect, I think, because people don't need, we're social creatures by nature. Nobody wants to be isolated. Everybody needs somebody to be around. You take a baby and you isolate him and you put him by himself. That baby is going to respond differently than a baby that's going to be nurtured and around other people and around their mother, of course. So we, by nature, humans need to be social. We're social creatures. Michael said, they say this is going to go on for another year and a half. Please, Lord Jesus, I'm praying. Let it make it go away. My other son, my oldest son, he was showing me, if you look at other countries, China was raving with COVID cases. Italy, oh my God, people were dying every day. Do you know, go Google COVID in those countries, they have no COVID cases, 0. And here in the United States, we're on the rise. So we got to figure out what these other countries are doing and get rid of this ish. Because it feels like it's never going to go away. I have no idea. But you go to these other countries, COVID is damn near gone. How are we still on the rise in the United States? So anyway, does anybody have any final words before we get off of here? Kai? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Zoe. Go ahead. Nope. Go, Zoe.
I mentioned how I was dealing with depression, and I know a lot of kids are too. But so when I was online and I told y'all how I was not able to go to get out of bed, even take showers, take care of myself, those thoughts in my mind just kept getting really negative. And so I started self-harming. And you just make sure y'all are checking up on your kids, letting them know everything's okay. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to say.
Thank you for saying that.
That's huge.
Everything. That's everything. You guys, check up on your kids. Check up on your kids. Kyle, I'm gonna make sure I call you every day now, okay, baby?
Thank God.
I'm gonna check up on you, boo. I'm gonna check up on you. I'm gonna call you, sweetheart.
Please, because man, you know how I can get. But not the psych no. But no, my last remark is make sure that you check up on your friends, your kids, everybody who's everybody is going through something during this pandemic. But I also wanted to say, since the pandemic as well, it's definitely been there's always a positive in every negative. For example, I see the outcome of this pandemic for me is that it birthed a new business. It's birthed the entrepreneurial spirit out of me. Like me being by myself a lot and like having nothing to do after school and stuff like that, really, there's like give birth an opportunity in me to be able to help others and to be able to, move something out of me that I never thought I could get out of myself. So like, and also like meditation and prayer and online church. And I've been online churching before the pandemic, so that really helped me too. But, find little self-help things to also help you because, we're all going through all this together, and there's somebody online going through the same thing as you and always can, help you out. So I found that through church and, meditation.
That's good. That's good. Taisha.
It's funny. I was going to say prayer, just a lot of prayer. When you feel like you're hopeless, you just got to pray. That's it.
That's the only thing that's going to get us through. Sante. Final.
I know it takes me a while to unmute this thing. I think, it's just really these conversations. So I want to appreciate you for this conversation and just talking to your kids and kind of just understanding what they're feeling, because you would never know. Like Zoe just shared this huge revelation. We didn't know, but there's somebody else who is feeling the same way. So I definitely would say prayer, but I would also say, like Hayel said, make sure you're checking up on your kids. Like Zoe said, make sure we're checking up on each other and having these conversations. So I don't think it should stop here.
Yeah, that's good. Angie.
I first want to say thank you, and I commend each and every child that's on here and that shared, because I know that's not easy. I all of you you're brave, and I just appreciate you all. And I think definitely communication, definitely, not only expecting our kids. I mean, we expect, they're going to tell us, Gabby and I are really close. And when she shared that with me, we were talking about the boys, and I said, is there something it wasn't something that she just said, oh, by the way, because but I went and said, what are you dealing with? And that's how she shared. So having those open-ended, having those conversations, allowing them, not like, are you depressed? No, but how are you feeling? And it's really, it will take a village. It will take a village. And not being afraid. Sometimes I don't like to ask my daughter, I tell her, because I don't want to know the answer, but I still, I got to, you know what I mean? I have to. And I think that's it. Just staying up on top of it.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
To all of you children, God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
You have anything you want to say, son? No. So I want to say this, God, just what Angela said, all these kids are brave for coming on here, because I know how hard it is, because kids are like, no, I don't want to speak. Thank you all for sharing your truth. Zoe, I just really want to thank you, sweetheart, for saying that. That meant the world. And there are so many kids who are dealing with the same thing, and their parents have no idea. And so now their parent could go ask them the question, are you dealing with this? Are you dealing with, ask those open-ended questions. Are you hurting yourself? Have you had thoughts of, suicide? How are you feeling about yourself? So please, please, please make sure, guys, you don't know what's going on. Just like Sante said, she just heard this about Zoe right now. Never knew this. And so that could be your child. Your child could be doing the same thing. So make sure you're having these conversations. We don't want to lose any more of our babies. And so I really, really appreciate that. Zoe is my little cousin. Her dad, who was my cousin, passed away suddenly a few months ago. And for her to be dealing with that on top of, what she's dealing with her depression, on top of having to be homeschooled for a little bit, it could be a lot. And so you don't know what somebody's going through. So I commend all of you guys for being on here. And especially Zoe, thank you for sharing your truth, because you don't even know how many people that you're going to help save just by you sharing that one little truth with everybody. There are hundreds of people on here now. There are thousands of people that are going to see this. This gets pushed out to thousands of people. And so you might say, you don't know how many lives you're going to save just by sharing that. So I appreciate that tremendously. Thank you. So thank everybody, guys. Gabby, thank you for sharing, how you were feeling and those thoughts that you had going on and the lack of motivation, and Kai, you being at home by yourself, and, the mind being, an idle mind being the devil's workshop. Those are very real things that we all deal with, but especially it being exacerbated in a time like this. Just check on your babies. Just check on your babies. Our biggest responsibility, I don't care what you do in life. I don't care how many accomplishments you have. I don't care nothing about nothing else, how much money you make. Our biggest accomplishments, our biggest thing in life are these people right here that we have to raise. And so make sure we're checking up on them. All right. So thank you for spending your time. We had about 55 minutes. Thank you. Are there any comments that need to be addressed? Anything? No? If not, thank you. Peace out.
It's CC, CEO. Want to change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder that can teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychological black owned firm, but we ain't all black owned.
Yo, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on.